glad to have you on tonight. Everything's syncing up now. Give it a minute to load. Sometimes it messes around, but we're getting there. Give it just a minute, and we'll be there. I think I'm still on. Maybe I'm still on dial-up. I don't know what's going on. Sometimes this you pay for a lot of speed acts a lot like dial-up. So glad to have you guys on tonight. We got a wonderful guest on. It's a dear friend of mine, Marty Raybon. Marty was the lead singer with the band Shenandoah, and I say was, still is. They're back together touring. They had so many hits. Church on Cumberland Road, Sunday in the South, 2 Dozen Roses, Mama Knows. Um, just so many big songs. And hello, Debbie Jones. Glad to see you there. Uh, been a busy day here on my end. It was my wife Lisa's birthday, or not was, still is. And anyway, we celebrated a little early because of my show here tonight. So anyway, I also knocked out my 38th anniversary since I saw you guys. So we do it all at once, get it knocked out. But it's been a busy week, that along with doctor's appointments, chemotherapy, dialysis, all that other stuff. It seems like I'm busier now than I was when I worked full time, and it's crazy, but part of getting well. And I hope you guys are all okay out there tonight. We've had great weather here, and temperature's been doing good. We were at right at 80 degrees here yesterday in Knoxville. And anyway, it's been a good week. Barney Rogers just signed in. Barney, good to have you. Barney's here every week, and I mentioned before Barney's a fine writer. He's wrote several songs. Uh, Still writing a bunch. He's had several songs that have charted really well. And anyway, always glad to have him home, or on, not home. But anyway, I appreciate everybody that tunes in every week. We're getting a lot of good review and stuff, and getting some really good folks. We've had good people from the first, but you know what? This is episode 16 tonight. So it's 3 months worth of this. And I remember my first two interview with my buddy Bob Minner, that plays guitar with Tim McGraw, and then J.D. Crow, who plays banjo with Jimmy Martin. They were both on the two episodes early when I was still trying to figure this stuff out and had to hold my telephone up to microphone. And we don't have microphones or telephones we have to move around anymore like we used to. Greg Pruitt, thanks for signing on. Happy birthday to Lisa. Thank you. That means a lot. I'll show that to her. And I appreciate you tuning in. And Amy Saltzgever says, such a nice feller, was so cool. You talking about me? Or you may be talking about Marty. I bet you are. I knew that. I knew you were. But anyway, back to where we're talking. We're going to have some really good guests coming on. I have a lot lined up. I have Claire Lynch coming on next week. And Claire is Claire's Claire. She's her own thing. She's won several of the IBMA Female Vocalist of the Year awards. Her band always is very good, very strong. She sang backup for so many people, Dolly Parton, so many. And I met Claire when I was probably 17, something like that, and went to an audition with her. And back then I played some banjo. I don't anymore, but they were getting ready to hire me to play banjo and dobro with the Front Porch String Band, which was her band at the time. So anyway, things work out for the best. I didn't, I guess the way to make things work, I didn't get the job or didn't take the job. I don't remember. But I always loved Claire Lynch and their music. It was just really something else. But back to Marty Raybon a little bit. And I, oh, no, okay, I thought that was him calling. It's not. I thought, wow, his clock's running fast. But I met Marty. I met Marty a long time back, but I first met Marty in the days that you could, and I talk about this a lot on here because I did it a lot. The days that you could buy 10 CDs for a penny when CDs first came out, and you had to subscribe to buy more, So one of the first batch I got, I mentioned the week before last that in my first batch when I was talking to John Dietrich from Restless Heart, I got a Restless Heart CD and I got a Shenandoah CD, one called Road Not Taken. And I just got blew away by the lead singer in that band, which was Marty Raybon. And I wore that CD out. It had so many big songs on it. And anyway, flash forward, I'm at IBMA one year, and Marty's just made a jump over to bluegrass for a little while. And anyway, it's just real strange. I mean, I went from that point of getting the 1 cent CD to lots of things Marty's done that's been big parts of my life over the years. We'll talk about those. But there's a lot of stuff. Marty's became family pretty much. I mean, he's we'll talk about it. Marty's been in major parts of my life, lots of parts of my life, and anyway, you're going to love hearing Marty talk. Marty is just a down home guy, but he's one of my very favorite singers that there is, if not my favorite singer. It's kind of hard to say that on here because I got so many friends that listen to that are great singers as well. But I've got to say Marty may be my favorite, and I hope I'm not offended anybody, but Marty's probably your favorite too, and he's incredible. So glad to have him. I want to read down a little bit. Barney Rogers said it's 85 in Raleigh. It's pretty warm, Barney. Pretty warm. Had a lot of rain today, and just didn't materialize out. I had a bunch of stuff that I've got into. One thing you folks probably know something about, somebody will. I'm trying to get into these purple martins, these birds, and I've been looking around everywhere trying to find the houses without ordering them. I found one today, and it's one you have to put together, and then when I got home, we went out to eat for birthday dinner and everything, and by the time I got back, it's time for the show. So I'm excited to get on putting that birdhouse together. That's funny. I mean, when I was 18, I would have laughed at anybody talking about a birdhouse and getting excited over it, but when you start getting older, it's like a lot of these things that you used to laugh at your grandparents about. I become that, but it's good. I like that. It's a good pace, I think, for me. But anyway, let's see here. Amy again says 65 in Indianapolis and occasional showers. That's really good for up there because it's usually snowing. But let's see, Jeff Miller said, howdy, Uncle Phil. Glad to have you on here tonight, Jeff. And buddy Joseph Hensley, glad to see you. And Amy says, she's a dandy. And Rex Webb, hi, Mr. Phil from Nota, Tennessee. I know where that's at. I sure do. And let's see, let me flip back up here. This thing's bouncing around on me. My old buddy Mike Kelly, great friend of mine, a bluegrass DJ first, and now doing gospel bluegrass on a major radio station here in town, and Merle FM. So glad to have Mike on. Mike's a friend to all the bluegrassers. He really is. And getting a lot of them on tonight. Mike said, hey, brother, going to be a great show. It sure is, Mike. I'm glad to have you on. And Amy, Salts gave her again, says his grass is good. You talk about Mike's. Oh, you talk about bluegrass. Mike, I knew wasn't into that other stuff, but I didn't know if that's what you were talking about. About got you arrested, Mike. Mike knows everybody out in Oak Ridge, so they wouldn't keep him long. Uh, Ray, glad to have you on, Ray Collette. And Greg Combs, hello, Phil. Marty Raybon can't be beat when it comes to singing country or bluegrass, and I'm going to agree with you. He's a powerhouse, and love Marty, love his music, and Janet Lee Carpenter says hello, Phil, and my son Matt's actually tuned in tonight. Uh, Matt worked with Marty Raybon. We're going to talk about that too, and anyway, it'll be fun. Glad to have you on, buddy, and that's just really good. And let's see, y'all know Matt's a really good dobro player, so and a really good singer too. So I'm real very proud of him. And let's see, Colonel Larry Roark. Hey Phil, glad to have you on, Colonel. And Mike, I knew you'd appreciate that. Uh, let's see. Oh yeah, Amy comes back and said Marty Raybon's grass. Has he got grass? He's gonna get arrested too if Marty Raybon's carrying that kind of stuff around, Amy. Maybe it's just hemp oil. I don't think that's illegal anymore, but you're gonna get Marty Raybon arrested on here. You know, Mike Kelly is he's a deputy, so I don't want him to come and arrest Marty before he gets a chance to come on the air tonight. So anyway, we'll clear that up when Marty gets on here. Make sure that that he's only dealing with bluegrass and nothing else. But anyway, we have a little fun on here. Marty should be calling in here in just a few minutes. But it's great having Herb. Brain slips a lot. Getting old. I said it's good to get old. That's the part that's not good about getting old. Is your brain slips. But Herb Peterson last week, just a really good time with him, and it looks like I'll probably be having one of the or another member of the Desert Rose Band on here in the next couple of weeks. So looking forward to that. I'll tell you which one that is as we get that confirmed. But anyway, it's been good on here. It seems like that it's getting easier to get people, and more people want to come on over here. Okay, Amy says bluegrass, not grass. Okay, well Mike Kelly just beat me. Said he was heading to Marty Raybon's house to arrest him. So it looks like we're going to be good. Thanks for clearing that up, Amy. I was really worried there for a minute or two. Let me knock out a couple of these. I got sidetracked, I know, but Brenda McDaniel Gowan said, "Hi, Phil. Marty is one of the most humble people you will ever find," and I agree with that. And hey, look who I got here. I got my buddy, speaking of Mike Kelly, my buddy Rex Wiseman. I'm going to brag on Rex a little bit. Rex plays uh, great steel guitar, great dobro, great Telecaster, whatever. And he's got one of the best gigs in the world, I think. This guy's been working for quite a few years with the Oak Ridge Boys. So Rex, glad to have you. That's one of my favorite bands, Oak Ridge Boys. And here's Marty Raybon. Hey Marty. Hey, talk a minute. Let me turn you up, buddy. Talk, say something. Buddy, I'm doing good. Let me see. We got some kind of a connection. Let me see what I've done here. It's always something I do wrong, Marty. Can you hear me okay, buddy? Does it? Let's see what's going on. Uh, I've got everything on just like normal. Um, let's see, buddy. Let me see what's going on. I don't see anything different here. Um, oh, hey, Marty. Wait a minute. Wait just a minute. Let me get you over here where it's supposed to be. How about now? Right? How about here? Okay, I think this is better. Let me mess with my volume a little bit here and not hang you up.
Is that good for you on my end too?
Heck yeah. There we go. Say something one more time.
All right. Way down yonder where the river crosses the creek, there's a little yellow red light house painted green.
That's it.
Two
That's
doors in the back door, and the front bulldog tied in the backyard.
buddy, that's it. That's it.
All right.
For some
All
reason,
right.
let me do something real quick. Can you guys hear Marty? I've got you set up just like normal, but who knows? Something's went down here today. Let's see what happened.
Can they
Can
hear me okay?
Yeah, you will be. Let me see what's going on here. Just a minute, buddy. I'll tell you what, Marty, call right back in. I think that might be the problem. Okay.
Okay, buddy. I'll call you right back.
All right. Sorry about this. Trying to get Marty hooked up here. Just a minute. Let's see if this is gonna get it. Hey, Marty,
Yeah, buddy. You there? I can hear you.
buddy, I don't know what's going on. They said they can't hear you very well. Are you on a regular cell phone?
Uh huh. Yeah.
Okay. Me keep talking. Say something.
Okay. Now look, I put earbuds in. You want me to take the earbuds out?
I don't think that'll have anything to do with it. Uh, can you talk directly close to your phone, maybe?
Yeah. Let's do this.
See if you can get closer.
How does that work, bud?
Oh, well,
Is that
still,
any better?
still not coming through good. But let me look at something. Wait a minute. We ain't done yet. I'm gonna crank. What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just crank you wide open. Talk some more, Marty.
Okay. All right. Way down yonder where the river crosses the creek, front foot long with a red white house painted green, two doors back door around front.
Buddy, I don't know what we got going here. I'm sorry, Marty. This has never happened before. Never happened before. Wait
All
just a
right.
minute. Wait just wait just a minute. Let me see what is going on with this thing. Cause I've never had this problem before.
Won't be on this side of town, honey. Won't be around.
Well, I think we'll make it work. How's that?
I don't mind. Sure, let you shoot.
Okay. Let's see. Can you guys hear Marty?
You're walking one, driving three.
Hmm.
Now one you should be on two.
Hey, Marty. Let
Yes,
me
sir.
ask you a question real quick. Uh, your phone, are you not on speaker, are you?
Uh-uh.
No?
No, no speaker.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to do this a little different. So just bear with me because I want to be able to hear you, okay? So wait just a minute. Tonight, I think. All right, Marty. Let's see. Let me pull you out of here and get you on speaker. All
Yes,
right,
sir.
are you there now?
Uh-huh.
Are you there? We're gonna correct this right now, cause just a second. You stay right there.
I'm right here,
I,
brother.
I know that. You ain't going far. All right. How's that? Can you hear?
I can hear you better now. I can
Oh,
hear you a whole lot better now. It's
well,
not as muddy.
I can you too. I don't know what's going on. Let me clamp this microphone off somewhere, and then we're ready to go. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. 1 second. Everything's been running good up to tonight. It seems like. I'm sorry, Marty. I'm sorry to all you guys too. Just a minute. I'm not this unorganized, but it's just something just happened. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
There you go. How you doing now? Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear. I can hear you real well too.
Oh, good, Marty. Well, we're glad to have you on the show tonight, and I know everybody else can hear you pretty good too. Somebody just let me know if you can hear him better, and I think you can. But But we're
I mean, are they gonna have to send up smoke signals?
well. I think they already have, buddy. The people's hearing you now, so you're good. You're good to go. Marty, good to have you on the show tonight, buddy. We
Man, hey, it's good to be with you, Phil. Hey, it's been a while, I know, since we've seen each other. There's been a lot going on,
yeah,
but man, it sure is. Man, it's always good to hear your voice.
buddy. You too, Marty. I'll say a little bit about first time I met you. I met you at the IBMA at the you were with Doobie Shea,
Uh-huh.
and I
The
had my
record label, yeah.
yeah, and I had my picture made with you. Did we didn't know each other, but I never knew then friendship we would have over the years and the times when me and my family had went through stuff. I want to say one thing about that, and then we're going to get on talking about Marty Raybon. But I remember uh, several times when uh, one time when Lisa had knee surgery and wasn't doing good. She had got MRSA and
Yeah, right.
wasn't
Yeah.
doing good. And I come home, and this was back in the days when you had the regular old you know answering machines. And I remember I was in a hurry and I was pushing through everything, and I pushed there, and I'm gonna say this. I hope this is all okay with you, but Marty, you said a long prayer for her that day, and I know you don't want any tension about that. I'm not trying to do that because I know it's not about that. But the funny thing on that is I was fumbling through, and after that I said I'm gonna save that. I'm never gonna let that go anywhere. And I hit a button, and all of a sudden this is your message has been erased. And anyway, I appreciate you for being over the years being more than an acquaintance, and we're gonna get into a lot of that stuff later. But let's get talking here about the first time that I heard you. Uh, Back in the days when you could get 10 CDs for a penny, and you remember that. I've already spoke about that a little because I had John Dietrich on from Restless Heart a couple weeks back, and that first batch of CDs I got a Restless Heart CD. I remember that one. I remember well the Shenandoah Road Not Taken, and I really after that I played those two so much I don't remember any of the rest of the stuff, but I remember so much really just being drawn in by your voice and everything. And I started trying to find out more about you because back then we didn't have computers to do that because this was probably 86, and I think you guys formed maybe around 84 or something like that. I think, but I remember that. And then when we had the show back then called the channel called CMT, and things like New Country, I finally got to see you, and I've just been a fan ever since of that bunch. And tell me a little bit about when you guys started out, Barty, how all that happened, and who the
Well,
first
we,
members
we
were.
really actually were nothing more than just a club band that was working there in Muscle Shoals, and of course, everybody in the band was studio oriented. The guys were session players because literally in Muscle Shoals alone there were 7 different studios, and of
Yeah,
course there were some other folks that had some outlying places where they'd have a vocal room and some have an overdub room, where you could do guitars or pianos or something like that when somebody would lay basic tracks down. And anyway, so all the guys in the band, when I came down here to Alabama in 1985, and we started working together, I was the demo singer, so therefore that allowed me to be able to have some extra work other than the club gig that we had 4 nights a week at the MGM, and I had the opportunity of being able to sing on a lot of songwriters, demos, and so therefore that kept us in work. But the guys in the band that I joined up with at the time never believing or realizing that it literally was the nucleus of Shenandoah at the time. I mean, none of us thought of that.
Right.
None of us were in that place whatsoever. We were just all, working at a club together, working in the studio together and stuff like that, and just making a living. Anyway, so Jim Sale's a guitar player, phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
He was a session guitar player there in the show, and of course Ralphie Zell.
Right.
He would rock back and forth from Muscle Shoals to Nashville to Jackson, Mississippi, to Memphis, Tennessee. I mean, Ralph was pretty hot and heavy. I mean, he stayed pretty heavy at session work, and sometimes, I mean, it'd take all he could do to get back on the 4 nights we worked. Sometimes the Wednesday nights when we would start the club gig, he would get there just barely in time, to do the gig, and but he'd always make it. And anyway, so there was Stan Thorne, the original keyboard player. He wrote songs as well, and played keyboards, on a lot of the session stuff. And then Mike McGuire was a writer.
Right.
For Rick Hall, and of course the name Rick Hall may not mean much, but if you've ever seen the movie Muscle Shoals, and then you put the name Rick Hall with it, and the legendary Fame Recording Studio, as well as the legendary Rick Hall, you would know a whole lot more about it. Right. Rick cut Aretha Franklin, Wilson Pickett, Otis Redding, done the Osmonds, done Marie Osmond, done Neil Sedaka. I mean, and the list goes on and on and on. And the thing, while we're talking about Muscle Shoals and Rick Hall and all that other kind of stuff, because Rick actually was the one that kind of brought us to the forefront in country music to have folks hear us. But during the 60s and the 70s, Muscle Shoals, Alabama was known as the hit recording capital of the world. There actually were more hit records recorded here in Muscle Shoals than there was anywhere else in the country during those 2 decades. And Rick was an awfully big part of that, and also was a group that had left him called the Swampers, and they went over to Muscle Shoals Sound and opened up their business with Atlantic and Jerry Wexler, and just had a big run at it as well too. Anyway, so we got together, and little did we know that during all this time, and us just working literally 2 miles down the road from Fame, that Fame Recording Studios, Rick Hall, Fame Productions, had a production deal that they had put together with CBS Records. And anyway, so here we were just 2 miles down the road, and they had 2 or 3 different producers that were also writers there at Fame that was going to be issued, a couple of acts to produce. And the budget would be that CBS would provide would be able to cut some spec sides on some artists to see, in other words, it was one of those exploratory things where Columbia was trying to find, artists.
Right.
And here we were just 2 miles down the road, and Robert Byrne and Tommy Brassfield, which literally is songwriting royalty here in the shows, came down to the MGM that night. And when they did, they came down and they listened for a while. And of course, we were doing about every one of the songs that they had written, and they were sitting out there, and of course they'd yell out, "Hey, Once in a Blue Moon, that was a close one. She still got away with my heart," and stuff like that. And so anyway, we're just ignoring them because we wanted them to stay. We didn't want them to just come in for a set and leave.
Sure.
And so we actually were monkeying with them, and they said, "He just say Once in a Blue Moon?" Yeah, man, we'll get to that. We got some other requests, that other set we'll do, that kind of stuff. So and I was saying that on the mic, so we knew good and well that they were hearing us. Anyway, so after we come off a break, they said, "Man, y'all sit down for a minute. We wanna sit and talk, y'all, about a situation we got at Fame. We got a production deal, and want to know if maybe you guys would want to come down to the studio and cut some speculative sides for Columbia." And of course, a couple of the guys in the band said, "Nah, I'm not really interested in that." I said, "Man, I am. I moved from Florida to get a record deal.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm all for it." And anyway, so they said, well, look, said, man, let's talk about it some more and let everybody be at peace and ease with it and everything. So at that point, we had set aside some time the following Saturday, and we all met out at Robert's house, and he lived out on the river, and so we went out there and swam and done some boating and all that other kind of stuff. And he was grilling some hamburger, and he said, he said, boys, let's sit down, let's talk about this stuff, and let's get serious about it. And anyway, so we did, and he said, Marty, I guess you're still in for a record. I said, yeah, absolutely, I want to do it. And anyway, so Jim Seals, a guitar player, and he was still a little bit of a holdout, but he went ahead and agreed that day that he would be a part of it to see how it worked. And we went and we cut 7 sides, and we brought them to Columbia, or I say we did. Rick Hall and Robert Byrne had brought them to Columbia, and man, we got a deal. And on that record was the very, very first top 10 that we had. It was on an album just entitled Shenandoah. Mm-hmm. And then the sophomore album, the one you got for a penny, was the Road Not Taken record. Right. And they went and they had taken She Doesn't Cry Anymore off the very, very first one, and they put that on the Road Not Taken album. Right. So when we went in to cut again, we only cut 9 tunes, but the 9 tunes that we cut was Church on Cumberland Road, Mama Knows, mm-hmm. Sunday in the South, See If I Care, and then of course She Doesn't Cry Anymore went on that mm-hmm. project as well.
All those are almost household country music tunes. I mean, that's a lot of heavy played tunes, because those songs, rarely do you have an album that almost every song on there is something that you could break up and people know the song. So that's big stuff.
Yeah, well, we were real fortunate. We had we had the means with all the writers there at Muscle Shoals, and of course, the avenue from Muscle Shoals to Nashville, and getting writers. Rick and Robert had left on a couple of trips going to Nashville to listen to tunes for us to cut for that second project. Most of the stuff that we did on the very first album, that was all stuff that that was Muscle Shoals and Fame Recording Studios and Fame Publishing. Most of that was Fame music. And anyway, so the second time round, man, it started getting serious. CBS said, man, look, let's don't let these guys go. We need to find some material for them. Mm-hmm. And the next thing you know, they came back with Church on Cumberland Road. Like I say, which Robert, which was producing Robert Byrne and Rick. Robert and Mac McAnally had wrote the tune 2 Dozen Roses. And I told Mac when we were in there cutting, one day we were doing some other stuff, and 2 Dozen was, and Church on Cumberland Road both were kind of at the last of recording the new album, the Road Not Taken. And anyway, so I told Mac, I said, man, Mac, I would give anything in the world, man, if you would write something I could really get my teeth in. Right. And just really hammer on something. And he had one of those little recorders that you could just push the button. He kept that by his bed. And the only time that we ever knew this story was when we were at Robert Byrne. Unfortunately, Robert Byrne passed away probably 12 years later. But we didn't know this story until after. But Mac had told the story about me telling him what I did at the studio about getting, something to get teeth in. And anyway, so he said that a couple nights after that he was laying in bed and he got up in the middle of the night and he literally sang into that little recorder that he kept by his bed. Some people keep a pad and a pencil and stuff. Mm-hmm. That's what I do. Mm-hmm. But he had a little recorder. And he literally sang the first verse and half the chorus. And then he showed it to Robert. And Robert said, man, we need to finish that. So before the album was done, they had it finished, and so we cut it, and that was 2 Dozen Roses. But we didn't know anything about that story until Mike and I had went, to Robert's wake. And of course, Robert being the songwriter that he was, and having the hits that he did through the years, and being respected like he was in the business, not just in Muscle Shoals, but also in Nashville too, because they had a wait for him, and now he was from Detroit, Michigan, but they had a wait for him there in Nashville. They wasn't gonna have one in Muscle Shoals, so me and Mike went up there to it. And of course, Richard Lee, Phil Vassar. In fact, it was at Phil Vassar's house.
Wow.
And anyways, man, it was just a humongous turnout, and songwriters of songwriters were there. And anyway, so Mac told that story, and I looked at Mike and I said, "Man, that's unbelievable, isn't it?" He goes, "Man, that's wild." And anyway, so Mac said, "Look, before I get to the end of this story that I'm telling, I see Mike and Marty out there. Well, why don't y'all come on up here and on the mic? Because they was a mic set up, a little bandstand, and Mike, guitars were sitting up there so that people, if they wanted to sing and stuff or share a song that they had written with Robert,
sure,
they could do that. And anyway, so when we got up there, Robert, like I said, being part of the writer on 2 Dozen Roses, Mike said, "Man, let's do this one for Robert. Let's do 2 Dozen." And so we did. And then, of course, me and Max split the verses and stuff. But yeah, it was, man, that's a tune, and it still is. That's one of the tunes that's still working as well for us today as it was when it came out. We were really fortunate to cut some tunes that really has literally withstood the test of time.
Yeah.
As much as they were, in the day when we cut them and put them out, they're still, in our shows, there's still 16, 17, 18-year-old kids up there right there in front of the stage, singing, every lyric. And I'm thinking, man,
cool?
Man, our career was pretty much over before these cats were ever even born.
Ain't that
and yet, man, here they are. They're singing every word to every song that we're doing. But I guess, that's the power of, what the internet is nowadays.
Right.
Being able to get music. You know how it is, Phil. Getting music nowadays is not like it was when you and I were growing up.
No.
We literally had to go see an act and get a record from them. Or either, if it was fortunate enough, or if they were a big enough act, we could go to a Peaches or a, Tower Records or
sure,
something like that.
All that's gone
where we
now.
could get, or a Best Buy, and buy an album or a CD, whatever. But that's pretty much the only way we could collect music a lot of times, especially in the bluegrass world.
Oh yeah.
Where you could go and man, man, Stanley would show up, or Monroe would show up, or Jimmy Martin, and man, we'd leave at Bluegrass Festival between me and my 2 brothers and my 2 sisters. Man, we would leave, and I bet you we collectively we'd probably have 15 or 20 albums.
Oh yeah, I remember
weekend,
those. I remember those days of buying the big vinyl albums, and I remember one time buying up about 5 of them and wanting to go jam and threw them in my car, and I came back and every one of them was warped.
Oh Lord, it's all warped.
Yeah,
he got them. Yeah.
But still tried to play them. It was funny. But Marty, I'm going to ask you now. I know Ralph passed away, but Jim Seals did too, didn't he?
No, Jim had a stroke about 8 years ago.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And Jim's absolutely fine. He's literally perfectly fine.
That guy was a great musician all the way around and singer.
Yeah, one of the things that made Jim such a great player, Phil, Jim Seals was one of those kind of players that knew when to play and when not to play. And man, cats like that, the really, really good ones, that's the way they are. That
right.
Man, they know when to play and when not to play.
Exactly.
And Jim was one of those.
Exactly.
Man, he accented a singer and the vocals and stuff, and he wouldn't get in the way of a piano or whatever would slide or whatever was being played.
Right.
Fiddle, he wouldn't get in the way of it.
Yeah.
And if he ever did, it was something that accented, what the keyboard or the fiddle or another guitar would do, acoustic guitar. But man, just a swell player. But anyway, he got to the point, when I'd left the group for 17 years, and part of that 17 years I was gone. 11 of it, I literally spent, back in bluegrass music and had been doing that. And then when I got back with Shenandoah in 2014, Jim was coming with us. Jim just said, "Marty, look, I know how you work, and man, you're a beast, and you're going to want to work all the time. And said, man, I just can't hold out like that anymore, and I don't want to hold you guys down. So what we'll do is we'll just when you come close, we'll do shows with you and that kind of stuff. That's what we'll do, and other than that, we'll just see if we can't find you somebody else to take my place. So we did. We got a gentleman by the name of Jamie Michael that took his place, but now Jamie had stayed with us for I don't know, probably about two and a half years, and we got a fella that's playing with us now by the name of Austin Crum, and he's from over in East Tennessee as well.
I know that
man.
name.
He is a guitar guy. I mean, man, he is the cat daddy.
Oh, I heard you guys at Bean Blossom the year before, and you guys, to me, it was like listening to the same band. You guys were really strong.
Well, I appreciate that. But that's one thing that we try to do more than anything else. Where people get used to hearing what they like about a record. So it's really nice when you go and play live. Mm-hmm. Now look, that don't mean that you can't stretch a little bit or something like that. But like signature licks.
Sure.
You got to keep that stuff the same.
People are waiting for them.
Yeah. When you go into a song and the intro to Two Dozen is down da 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 da.
Yep.
They don't want to hear that any different.
No.
And to be honest with you, when they hear that, they know what you're doing, and that's usually when people start cheering.
Oh yeah.
And so anyway, and then just like Church on Come to Road, da 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 da.
Yep.
And then Sunday in the South, don't mill worker, how so it's just stuff that folks get used to. Or Moon Over Georgia on the intro with that. A lot of times, I mean, it don't seem like it takes the third lick before they're on to that one either. And so therefore, that kind of stuff, signature licks is stuff that you really need to stick with. But,
definitely.
Players like Austin and Travis Mobley, the keyboard player. I mean, them guys can play. And then and Donnie Allen, which he plays slide and electric and acoustic.
Right.
And there's sometimes man, them guys get out there and they get off on their own. They'll play a different break than what's on the record. But but we try to make sure that we tend to keep the signature licks, the intros and the outros. We try to make sure that they all stay the same.
I think the biggest compliment is when you go to a concert and people come out saying, those guys sound just like the record. And so much of that is not only that you still can play really well and stuff, but signature licks, vocal lines, and then, sometimes just like you, Marty, I mean, with you, the cool things with guys like you, and not a lot of them like you, but you listen sometimes for that signature line, and sometimes, after you've hit it 2 or 3 times, then just to throw a little turn just a little bit different will bring those people up out of their chairs. It's like they haven't heard that before, but still staying right at the way your record sound. That's what people want, but you can throw them that little piece every now and then, but you cannot change, you can't change a song. And
yeah, right. Yeah, it needs to remain, because when it comes to stuff like that, people don't mind a little bit of change, but they don't want you to, because that's why they came.
Yeah.
And for some people, man, out of all the songs that they did, they done everything the same. And in the song that I love, they changed it.
Yeah, they don't like
so
that.
You don't ever want to be guilty of that.
No, J.D. Crowe told me when I played with him that people should be able to identify intros to songs and intros to solos by the first 3 or 4 notes. And and I believe that, because that's what defines and sets up your solo or sets up your song. And every time I've heard you guys sound like your records, and I mean that is the biggest compliment.
No, and hey, listen, it's very well. It was very well taken too. I appreciate you saying that. But it's just kind of like being able to do that. The thing that's been really really nice. Being back with Shenandoah and us being able to do the things that we do. The pressure's not on
Right.
as it was in the years, before. When you literally were having to go out there and beat and bang, and
Right.
record label would continuously tell you, you're only as good as your last record. You're only as good as your last record.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd hear that so much you'd get so sick of hearing it. And
Right.
and what they were talking about was, this next record needs to work, and this
Sure.
next record better work.
Better
And
work.
anyway, so when that kind of pressure was going on, and people were kind of breathing down your neck on that stuff, that sure did take a whole lot of the enjoyment out of not only cutting records but doing live shows as well too, because you knew that that you had to get people to like it. But that was really the only time that every one of us were really relaxed.
Right.
In fact, to be honest with you, that's really the only time that we were not working.
Yeah.
Is when we were playing.
Right.
The rest of it's work. The rest of it's music business. I don't like the music business,
No, I
but
know.
I sure do love playing and singing.
Yeah.
And anyway, the thing about that where we are, this at this point in our career, during the COVID situation, we actually we worked on a brand new record. It's called Every Road, and it literally was just going to start out as a record that was going to be our first studio record in 26 years.
Wow.
We had done a live album,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd done a Christmas record, but it was an EP. But this was going to be I still call them long play albums.
Right.
And they'll always be, albums to me. But anyway, so we were going to do. It was going to be our first long play album in 26 years.
Right.
So what we thought we would do to kind of highlight it, and put a little bit of an ice to it on the cake would be, man, let's see if we can get an outside artist, to come in. Maybe let's see if we can get a Luke Bryan, or maybe an Ashley McBride, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe even a Blake Shelton.
Sure.
And see if we can't, get that. And that way, we can use them for the singles, and that way, give us an opportunity. Well, so then, the first artist that I talked to was Brad Page, and I was talking to Brad and said, man, we're thinking about doing a record and having a guest artist on it. Man, would you consider doing a record with me? He said, man, are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah. He said, man, yeah, I'd love to. And so anyway, what we found before it was all over with, we actually found out that it was really, really kind of nice to have, these artists, that grew up listening to Shenandoah going, man, you mean you want me to be a part of that? See, I thought it was going to be like pulling hair,
Right.
or
Sure.
dragging people by the hair of the head, trying to get them to do it, and this kind of stuff, and having managers, no, y'all not on hit radio, and
Right.
that's not going to work, and stuff like that. So before it was all over, we wound up getting Dirk Bentley. We got Ashley McBride, Carly
Right.
Pierce, Cody Johnson. We got the Zach Brown band, Luke Bryan, and lo and behold, we got Blake Shelton. In
Wow,
fact,
that's
the
cool.
very, very single that we've got out right now, that actually this week was the third most added this week on the Music Row chart. It's a tune called "Then a Girl Walks In," and it just, man, it's just been phenomenal. With the way things that have happened.
Yeah.
And I would say probably the only good thing about COVID that I know of for us,
Making a record.
was having the opportunity of doing the record,
Yeah.
and having everybody where they were not busy either, and they could go, yeah,
Yep.
man, I'd love to do this record with you. And so the next thing you know, we're in the studio with Carly Pierce, and doing a record, and it was just Ashley McBride, and it was just incredible. It really was. And to be able to do that was not only really enjoyable, but and then then the Lady A had a tune. Charles had mentioned, Samantha said, man, we got a tune that we wrote, and anyway, we did that with him as well too, and So before it was all over with, I mean, we wound up doing that on the Kelly Clarkson show together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it really turned out to be an awfully good time, as far as music, and creating for us,
Right.
and being able to have the opportunity to do it, and to be honest with you, as bad as that stuff is, and look, it certainly was, that first and foremost, that stuff is kind of like being locked in a room with no floor. Nobody could outguess it. Nobody could figure out, what the perimeters, for COVID was.
Sure.
For some people, it'd give them the sniffles.
Oh,
For
sure.
somebody, they
Sure.
wouldn't even know they had it, and then turn right back. And for somebody else, it would kill them.
Kill them. Yep. Yep.
So it was just strange, and it's still strange, and it's very real. Look, I believe the science, but more than
Me
anything
too.
like that, I'd probably performed about maybe 8 or 9 funerals this year,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll usually do that. Say I don't know, maybe in a 2 or 3 year span. But in 20, man, that just seemed like every time I turned around, I was doing another funeral, for somebody,
Yeah.
And whether I was, preaching the funeral or whether I was singing at it,
Yeah.
it just seemed like, man, this is happening too much. So therefore, it was real. But and that's the reason why I said, that the only good that I know about COVID was for us, was
Make a
that
record.
record that we got to work on and do. And then in the meantime, I even got a chance to do another, start working on another bluegrass album.
Yeah. Tell us about that. Before you do, let's go back just a little bit on one thing, and then we're gonna jump over to bluegrass. But I want to talk to you about somewhere in the vicinity of the heart. That was your first Grammy, right?
That was the first one. Yes, it was.
Allison Krauss and you. What was that like going out to the Grammys? Did you feel that night like you had a chance of something happening, maybe getting a win? What do you feel like that night?
To be honest with you, Phil, I don't know that we, quite honestly, what I was excited about was, we were getting a chance to go to California, and we
Mm-hmm.
were going to spend a couple days in California,
Right.
and we were going to go to the
Mm-hmm.
Grammys, and while we were there in California, we actually, my wife and I and Mike and a girlfriend that he had in Los Angeles
Mm-hmm.
came, and then Jim Seals and his wife.
Right.
We actually went to Universal, and we spent the day there. And the next day we went to the Grammys, and whether we were going to win or not, man, we'd already been to a couple of award shows that that we kind of felt like we should have won,
Sure.
but didn't. So therefore, we wasn't really looking for anything to.
Didn't
I'll
expect it.
never forget how shocked we were, when they called out Vicinity of the Heart, and it really was very, very special. It really was. And Allison, of course, was there, very graceful,
Mm-hmm.
when we gave the acceptance speech and all of the other kind of stuff. And then going back and doing press and stuff like that was, really it was really a wonderful time. It really was. But
Awesome.
as far as thinking that we would win it, I really didn't know whether we would or not. I knew we had as good a shot as anybody did,
Mm-hmm.
but didn't know that we would have.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was not only great for country music, but that was great for bluegrass too, because Allison was still considered pretty much a bluegrass singer trying to get over into country at the time, which Allison can do any kind of music she wants to. She's just
Yeah, that's right. She sure can. I
uh,
tell you, man, she's a peach now. She sure is, and
she was a woman given too much talent. She's got enough for 20. I always said, and she's never changed from what she was before what she is now.
yeah, and I'll tell you a story about that. When it come time for us to do Vicinity of the Heart, the record label at that time, that we were over at Capitol, Jimmy Bowen was head of the ship, and
Mm-hmm.
he actually had been trying to sign Allison. He had heard Allison and loved her,
Yeah.
In fact, he'd offer a great sum of money to sign. She said she didn't really want to do that because she was afraid they would change what she wanted to do.
Wow.
And anyway, so when they told us, said, look, what we want to do is we want to do a duet with a female artist and a self-contained country band.
Mm-hmm.
And you're here at our label, you're our country band, and what we want to do is take a look at this. And they gave us a list, and Patty Loveless was on that, Martina McBride was on the list, several others. And anyway, I said, well, now look, I said, so y'all want us to do a duet? And I said, does it make any difference? Which I know that they were thinking about the list that they had just handed us.
Right.
I said, so does it make any difference who the gal is? And they said, no, it doesn't. I said, well, look, I got a friend in Champaign, Illinois. And I said, look, I grew up in bluegrass music, and therefore I kind of had my hands in it for a while. I try to keep my ear to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, there's a young lady from Champaign, Illinois, and her name is Allison Krause. And Jimmy Bowen looked at me and said, you know Allison Krause?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah. Is that who you're talking about? And I said, yeah. And then a couple of the other executives go, we never heard of her. And I said, I'll tell you one thing.
You're going to.
If you'll let Allison be on this record, the whole world will know who she is.
Yeah.
I said, that's what that gal can do. And so the next thing you know, I mean, that's really how that came down.
That's awesome.
And then so I got up with Allison. She was over at Nightingale working on a record. And I literally went to the studio and I said, Allison, I said, man, we got a tune. And I said, can I play you a tune? She said, yeah. And so I said, do you like that? She goes, yeah, I really do. I said, that needs to be a duet between me and you.
Yeah.
And she said, are you serious? And I said, that needs to be a duet between me and you. And anyway, she said, well, Sidney Cox has got a good duet too. Would you mind if I got a hold of that, played that for you? Mm-hmm. I said, well, Allison, yeah, but I'm telling you right now, this is the one that everybody's crazy about.
Yeah. So
this will probably be the one that's going to wind up being. And she said, okay. And I said, do you want me to let you live with it or whatever? And she goes, well, I like the song. I said, well, I want you to record it with me. And record it with us, Shenandoah. It'll be on Shenandoah record. And she said, well, okay. And I said, do you want me to leave it with you and just you think about it, that kind of stuff? I said, because we're actually going to try to cut the track around 6 o'clock tonight. Will that work for you? And she said, well, I guess so. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't real sure at the time.
Right.
But then, then as the day went on, she was.
Right.
And so anyway, so that evening, she had came over and man, it was just man, she got in there and she started singing. I'm telling you, man, Don Cook produced, and of course Mike Bradley was engineering, and of course they had the microphones, in the studio in a baffle board between the two of us with windows.
Right.
And that way I could see her singing and she could see me singing and that kind of stuff. And anyway, so we were singing back and forth, and anyway, so I'm looking over in the control room, and Don Cook is having an absolute cow. He's thinking, man, oh man, and I knew what he was thinking. Man, this gal's carrying the mail.
Yeah.
And anyway, so we done a couple of takes. Anyway, I said, well, they said, well, it sounded pretty good. Alice said, well, I'd like to change a couple of things. And I said, well, man, let's just go up there and listen to it. Let's see what we got. And anyway, so we went up there and listened. And Don said, Marty, are you okay with yours? And I said, yeah, I think I'm okay with mine. And Allison said, man, can I fix a couple of things? And they said, sure. And I mean, every time she would fix it because she thought it was bad, I was thinking, I don't know what she needs to fix.
Right.
Because, at that point, it got into preference.
Yeah.
And it's the way she wanted to do it instead of whether it was good or bad.
Right.
Then it became a preference thing.
Sure.
I would prefer doing that.
Sure.
All right, let me do this to it. Would it be okay if I did this to that?
Right.
And so anyway, so that's what it became. So it wasn't, whether it was good or bad, or the note was flat or the note was sharp. It was just, just those little identifiable things that Alison Krauss does that was on there, and
Makes her Allison.
yeah, and it just, man, it just worked. And before it was all over with, not only did we get a Grammy Award for that, but we also got the Vocal Event of the Year at the ACMs that year.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
the CMA's Vocal Event of the Year. And, it was just really, it was really incredible. It really was. It really worked out really well, for the both of us. And then, at that time, man, Allison, literally, she had taken off.
Yeah.
And in fact, the Keith Whitley, the tribute record for
Yeah.
Keith Whitley that Ricky was doing and that Rounder had done,
Right.
the tribute record to the Don't Close Your Eyes.
Sure.
Man, man, that seemed like it shoved it up the charts, like it was going out of
Oh,
style.
it did.
And at that time, then Allison was all over it. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
and man, everybody in the world does know who she is.
Yeah, they do. And Marty, it's kind of neat when you, especially, I mean, with you guys. It has to make you guys feel good that you give her a chance to. A lot of people won't do that, and to come in and sing a duet, that sometimes, and could be a make or break time where someone either just gives up, goes another direction, or whatever, and you guys were there for her, and that's a big deal to do, and it worked.
The thing about it is, though, is Allison actually was able to present that case.
Sure, she was.
I mean, man, she, and you know as well as I do. I mean, and mostly everybody out there that's listed, man. Allison.
She came
man,
ready.
Allison don't need anybody to take up for her. I mean,
No,
man, what she does, that stuff that she does is incredible. And I don't know of anybody that don't like her, but
nope.
She was ready for the opportunity when it came. And I'll be honest with you, whether we'd have had anything in the world to do with it or not, Alison Krauss would have been known all over the world like she is now, because that was something that God reached in and put a thunderbolt in her vocal cords.
Yeah, he sure did.
And that was an anointing, and that literally was going to be heard. And boy, that it has. I'm telling you, she is just literally blown it out of the water and then some. And I think the world of Allison always have. And literally always will. I just think she's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and thing about Allison too is she went out and got a band that was right there that could, that was very top of the level. You take guys like Adam Steffi and Barry Bales, that's been with her forever, Allison Brown, then later Ron Block, Jerry Douglas, Dan Tominski. She's always kept the very top players. And, because to me, she's the very top player, and she brings in those people that play up to that level. And, I just, anytime something comes out that she's got, I'm always quick to go buy it. And it was the same way with you guys, Marty. So, it's good you guys got to work together and make that and get that Grammy and stuff. And I'm going to move on to a little bit too while we're at it, because I don't want to keep you up too late. I don't know what time your bedtime is, but I ain't going to keep you up too late.
Well, I got to fly to North Carolina tomorrow, but in fact, we're going to be doing a live. This is really kind of a different thing, but this is how creative people have gotten since this COVID thing. We're actually doing a live autograph signing.
Wow.
On Facebook Saturday night, and
that's cool.
Merchandise. It's called a flash merchandise sale, and our concession team that we've got, puts these things together, and it's really amazing. It really is.
That's smart.
Anyway, so we're going to be on Facebook Live on the Shenandoah page and that kind of stuff Saturday night.
Saturday night. What time? Do you know?
Yeah, it's on Eastern time as well too. It's going to start at 7.
7. Okay. Hopefully people will hear that here and tune in.
Yeah.
I know I will. But, buddy, it looks like lots of good things are going on for you again. For you guys
Well,
again,
man,
Marty.
we've been blessed, and man, I'm so proud, about your health, and you're still doing good, and Mama's
Um,
doing good. Man, I'm really proud about that.
yeah,
Man,
yeah.
like I said, it's always so good to talk with you, and
You too.
just to realize how good the Lord's been to all of us, and
He really
just to
has. He really,
oh, I tell you,
really
man,
has.
he has blessed us. I never get the sadness that that I had, when I
No.
had heard about Steve Gully, and I just, man, I literally thought the world of Steve, and
Yeah,
Steve
Steve.
was always such an absolutely wonderful family,
Well, you
and
didn't.
and I
Go ahead,
go
buddy.
ahead.
No, I just was going to say you did. God didn't choose sides with Steve, and he was so
Yeah,
proud
sure
of
did.
that.
Yeah, recorded over there at his place,
Yeah,
and and had a ball,
great
doing the record
family.
with him, and man, it was a big time. It really was. But friendships and the acquaintances that you make in life, and you never know, how people do touch your life,
You
and
don't.
what that means as time and years go by, that you find that closeness in people, and the love
Hmm.
that you have, because you grow to respect one another, and that's just an absolutely wonderful thing to look back and go, man,
It is.
I've known this guy for 30 years,
Yeah,
and man,
yeah,
just probably love him more today than I did yesterday, and that
yeah,
kind of stuff. And it's
yeah,
really good, to be able to have friendships like that that literally will
yeah.
stand the test of time, and just really really proud, and I'm grateful that you literally were such a friend to Steve, and loving on him like you have, and Debbie, and the kids, and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and all the grand youngins. You feel you're a good friend to people,
Well,
and you've
thank you.
certainly been a good friend to me too, brother. And
Marty.
I've truly enjoyed our time together, and being able to get on here and peddle our wares and talk about the record business, and the music business as a
All
whole,
that. Yeah.
and about friends and stuff, and things that have happened. And both you and I, can look back and say that we've actually had a really 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 good
Good
life.
life. Yeah,
We really
yeah,
have.
yeah. You know, Marty, I'm going to hit a couple other things speaking about that, but I remember uh, just a real cool time that you have to really look around and say, is this really happening? Is we played on a cruise, and I remember me and you being out in the middle of the ocean, I think St. Martin, and the I looked one way and the cruise ship's here, and I looked this way, and here's Jimmy Buffett's and Margaritaville, and I looked back at you and I thought, man, this is unreal. This is one of my heroes, and we're out here in the middle of the ocean talking. And I remember we talked. We sit there. We didn't talk about music out there. We talked about the Lord, and I remember that. And it was a good time with everything. And and Steve Gully. I met Steve when I was 12, and he's always been my running buddy. And I've got that thing going on now with you know COVID's letting up. It's going to be time to start picking again. And we went everywhere together. He kept an eye on me because there was a couple of times after my cancer that I had some bad stuff happen, some relapses on things, and Steve was always there. He goes, "We're gonna get you home, buddy. We'll get you home," and he always did. And I'm not going to have that now. And I'm still trying to look, for somebody. I'm not going to find anybody to take his place. Maybe somebody to take his space that can be a running buddy. But I miss that guy, and it's every day. I'll sit around and I'll think about something. And I'll say, Steve Gully would love this, and about the time I think, it's like, oh well, I can't call him no more. And
Yeah.
he's but he loved you, Marty, and I just wanted you to know that. But I'm so glad you got to be on the show tonight. And I will mention real quick, uh, I've been very proud of two things. Very, very, very proud, and I'm gonna let you go. The first thing I was proud of is when you came in and sang California Cotton Fields on my record, and that song was #1 for a long time. And then that album won a IBMA award that year. And the second thing I'm very proud of is you hired my son Matt, and he got to play with you, and that was one of the highlights of his whole career. And I thank you for being part of our family like you have, and that's more important to me than the music, being the family. And I thank you for your time tonight, buddy. I'm gonna let you get on off, and I hope you have a safe trip over to North Carolina tomorrow. And
you bet, brother. And man, God love you, Phil. And brother, I can't wait till we get a chance to see one another again. Man, I'm gonna throw my arms around you. I'm gonna hug your neck, and we're gonna have a time. We really are. But I want to thank you so much for allowing me to come on tonight, and for us to really do nothing more than to reminisce about a lot of this stuff. It's been really, really good.
A lot of fun.
And I appreciate it.
A lot of fun, Marty. Just keep us all in your prayers if you don't mind. And got a lot of people in the family, relatives that a couple that has COVID and stuff. And my health's been up and down lately and things. So just keep us in your prayers. And thank you so much for tonight.
Oh, you bet. And I sure will. I'll do that. I promise you I'll do that.
I know that. I'll see you soon, buddy, okay?
And I look forward to it. God bless your heart.
Love
see you, brother.
Marty. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Let me disconnect here. Now, I hope this all went out tonight. I kept watching, and my numbers kept falling down. So if you guys got bucked off or anything during the show, I will be putting this on eBay, or not eBay, YouTube. Put it on eBay. And Betty Edmondson, thanks for being in tonight. Let me move this microphone out of the way now because had to move that for Marty. But Betty Edmondson, I hope if you were on all night that I didn't lose you. I was kind of worried about middle ways, but Betty, great to have you on. Freddie Smith, my old buddy and DJ friend, one of the very best ones. And Barney Rogers, thank you so much. I guess the reason I didn't have so much movement on my wall was people was listening, so that's good. I was just worried. Dennis Lakin, my good buddy here, I went to high school with, and also worked in a club band during the 1982 World's Fair. We were called the Japanese Beatles, and we were actually like the Blues Brothers, but we were a lot better than them, a lot better dancing, a lot better magic tricks, and all that stuff. But no, we know we weren't very good, Dennis. But I had a lot of fun with you. It says, hey, Phil Allen and James Berry and I cut an album of muscle shows that Marty and Shenandoah used to back up in the middle 80s. Awesome studio. Heard a lot about the studios down there, and they are killer, and especially one that Shenandoah's been in. You know it's good. Let's see here. Jimmy Ross. Hey, Jimmy Ross, glad to have you tonight. Randy Green, same here. My buddy Gene LeBay, that old bass man from the Nashville Bluegrass Band. Gene played some really killer music with those guys, and we also went to London together. Good buddy of mine. Hope we get to see each other in person before too long. My wife's best friend, Tina McLaren, and she's our Nashville friend, Nashville buddy. She tuned in tonight. Glad to hear from you too. You know, we're gonna get down to Nashville soon, and I'll make Lisa call you. Promise that. And Jeff Smith, hey Phil, hey Jeff, glad to have you on. And Mike Kelly, I went back and read, said Marty's a great singer, but an even better person. The love and prayers he shared with me and my family during Jackie's illness will never be forgotten. Yeah, you know, Marty's a special one. Marty is one of those guys that you feel like if anybody's got a direct line to God, it's him. And Marty's helped me and you both a whole lot, Mike, with things in our lives. And I wish I could have read back as the show was going, so I missed some of these things. But Barney Rogers, good show, buddy. Thank you, Barney. Greg Combs, great show. Enjoyed Marty's stories. And Lynn Lawson Skaggs, great show as usual. Thanks so much. We'll tell you real quick that this show will be on YouTube tomorrow if you want to watch it full and maybe without it. I know it catches some and grabs. I'm still trying to work that out for the video catching. But anyway, you can watch it on YouTube, but it won't. Next week, tune in. I'll have Claire Lynch. And as I mentioned, she's one of the greatest that there is. And she'll be right here. She moved recently. She was one of the members of my band, the All Stars. And she was living in Nashville. And she hated that job so much that she moved to Canada. So we located her down in Canada. And she's agreed to be on the show next week. So anyway, we're always glad to be able to talk to Claire. She's a jewel. She'll be on next week. So thanks again. I'm going to sign off here and appreciate you all. And this was episode 16. And next week, I guess we'll just keep moving on. You guys have a good one. God bless. Good night.